Arg, avast me hearties, yo-ho! It is I, Captain OGGM, using his pirate voice. Yo-ho! You know, for a game that was originally called Project Black Flag, there is a significant lack of pirates. What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OGGM, coming to you live from Site Beta on a lovely Friday morning at 8:25, the 5th day of July. Hopefully you are well and safe and survived last night. And more importantly, your pets are well and safe and survived last night. Okay, so I'm following up on a video DM Curt made a couple days ago called Whatever Happened to Tales of the Valiant. Please, if you haven't had a chance yet to give this man a sub, help him get his YouTube channel up and going. He's a pretty cool dude. He's the guy who sends me food all the time. So yeah, we need to support this dude. All right, so whatever did happen to Tales for the Valiant? Okay, well, we have to turn on the Wayback Machine and go all the way back to January of last year and the Wizards of the Coast OGL debacle. And we have to first look at who Kobold Press was at the time. Second, what aspect of the OGL Manic Panic their response was and what they said they were going to do and what actually happened. Or more importantly, what we thought they said they were going to do and then what they actually did. So first off, who's Kobold Press? We got to start there, right? Kobold Press is a third-party content creator who is 99% known for creating some of the best of third-party stuff for 5e. They made stuff before 5e, under the OGL 3.5, but they really found their niche making third-party product for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons as early as back as, within the first year of 5e was out, they were making stuff. They made monster books. When in doubt, make a monster book. And their monster books were incredibly well received. And then they started creating their own 5e world called Midgard. And again, that was incredibly well received. In fact, pound for pound, most people considered the third-party stuff coming out of Kobold Press better than Wizards of the Coast stuff, and probably the number one makers of 5e third-party product. Other people were making 5e third-party products. Some of it was excellent, some of it not so much. Usually, when these things are brought up in conversation, Kobold was considered the best. So they already had connections to Wizards of the Coast. They already had connections to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. They already had connections using the OGL open game license to be able to freely make 5e product in conjuration with Wizards of the Coast, which at the time we thought wouldn't get anybody in trouble because we've been using the OGL for 1,000,000 years. And up till then, nobody really gave a damn. But then Wizards of the Coast decided to go insane. We all know what happened in January of last year. That's not the point of this. But at that point of time when this whole nonsense started, Kobold Press already had existing contracts to make third-party 5e stuff and existing contracts with Wizards of the Coast. So we go into January of 2023 with Kobold Press already in a pretty decent relationship with the 5e community, already having stuff, lined up to come out for 5e official, or as official as any of this nonsense is. Okay, so then January happens. And then Kobold Press is like, wait, what? We've still got contracts with you guys. What do you mean you're going to just pull the rug out from under us? And Wizards of the Coast is like, okay, well, yeah, you're going to fulfill the contracts you have with us, but then we're going to fuck you over. So this is what Project Black Flag originally was. We also have to remember one of the many aspects of the OGL nonsense was not attacking OSR guys and people who are using the OGL, but it was also attacking 5e creators. A lot of us got so angry, we kind of forgot the fact that they were going after their own fan base and their own, as well as the OGL, OSR, old school people like me or Bloodworth or whatever. Basically, if it used D20, they were going after you. So they were going after Kobold Press, even though Kobold Press was in good terms with them, and they were going after anybody else who was making third-party 5e stuff, and they were going after the fans who were posting third-party 5e stuff on D&D Beyond, right? So we got to remember that's where Kobold Press comes in, that they were in bed with the 5e crowd when Wizards of the Coast yanked the sheets out from under them. But they already had contracts to fulfill product that Wizards of the Coast had already given them the go-ahead on before Wizards of the Coast went insane. Which leaves Kobold Press in a very precarious place because they want to say, fuck you, Wizards of the Coast. I can't believe you're doing this to us after all this time. But also it's like, hey, we still want to support the 5e community and we've still got contracts with you. So what Project Black Flag originally was announced as was they were going to make a new Creative Commons SRD in conjurations with Paizo's ORC, which basically was an attempt to recreate the open source that the OGL was in a way where Wizards of the Coast couldn't do it before. Now, technically, you can still use the OGL because technically everything Wizards of the Coast said was incorrect. And technically, if you had the amount of money to go after them, you probably could. But let's face it, other than maybe Amazon, nobody has Hasbro money to go take Hasbro to court. Not even Paizo. Paizo maybe had the best chance. But really, you know, nobody wanted to go legally against them in court at the time because they had the Hasbro war chest to milk. So while we could have continued using it, Paizo came forward with the ORC, and Project Black Flag came out of Kobold. And what Project Black Flag originally was that Kobold was saying, what they said and what we heard, here's the two different things. And I will say, in regards to those of us who got mad at them, the way they said it probably could have been said better. But what their statement was originally was, okay, we have to fulfill these contracts for 5th edition stuff first. So we're going to do that, right, guys? But they've said we can't use the OGL anymore, but they still want us to make products. So we're going to make this new thing. We're going to work with Paizo and this ORC thing that they just decided to maybe work on. And we're going to work together, and we're going to create this document, this open source that will continue to fill the niche that the OGL was and other things like the OGL were filling up to now. Again, you could still use it, but do you really want to take Wizards to court? Why not we just make a new one that Wizards can't touch? So that's what they said they were going to do. Step one, let's take as much money from the Wizards as we can because we still have contracts with them. Step two, let's make our own thing so we can still make 5e stuff because that's our breadbasket right there, but not risk the wrath of the Wizards of the Coast Death Star, because we know with the whole Pinkertons thing that the Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, has no problem unleashing the Death Star on you if you, at that point in time, if you've so much and looked at them wrong, right? So that's what they said. They said, we're going to fulfill our contracts. Once those are done, we're going to make our own thing so we can continue to make 5e stuff. And more importantly, you guys can continue to make 5e stuff, or you guys can make just D20 OGL stuff without Wizards going after you. That's what Project Flag originally was. But what we heard was they're going to make their own system that's going to completely compete with 5e, but not be 5e. That they were going to make their own thing. They weren't going to be 5e. Of course they were going to be 5e. Who thought they weren't going to be 5e? They never said they were making GURPS. They make 5e product. They want to continue to make 5e product. They want to be able to make 5e product without Wizards of the Coast coming after them. That's what Project the Black Flag was. Then for some reason they announced this Tales of the Valiant, which was basically them doing their version last year of what Wizards of the Coast is doing this year. At no point in time did they ever say Tales of the Valiant is going to be its own thing. They just gave it a cool name. And what Tales of the Valiant allows them to do is continue to create Tales of the Valiant 5th edition product, and allows you access to a game system that does pretty much the same thing that 5e does without having to buy 5e. That and the Black Flag SRD would allow you to make Tales from the Valiant product, would allow them to make Tales from the Valiant product, and more importantly, in regards to the third-party 5e people, here's a system. We're basically doing in 2023 the exact same thing that Wizards of the Coast is going to do to you in 2024, but we're not screwing you over. So this is 5th edition, with anything connecting to Wizards of the Coast scrubbed away and replaced with more appropriate to the open source as of today, using both the SRD that Wizards came out with, the 5.1 SRD, which will become completely pointless in September, and the ORC as it was growing and being created. So Tales from the Valiant will replace your 2024 5th edition Player's Handbook, your 2024 5th edition Monster Manual, and your 2024 DM's Guide, so that you don't have to give $100 to Wizards, so that you have the ability to access your digital product if you want to keep paying for D&D Beyond, when you can give them $40 for basically the exact same thing. But more importantly, if you are a 5th edition player and you don't want to support Wizards of the Coast, but you still want to play 5th edition the way you're used to playing 5th edition, i.e. 2014 5th edition, Tales from the Valiant would let you do that. And if you're just a D20 content creator like I am, but don't want to make 5e stuff, Project Black Flag allows you to continue to use the D20 mechanics for anything. So I make stuff for the Wretched universe, as you know, which is a D20 system. I make generic things like my pirate goblin game, which is being reworked on right now, and the thing I just made with GRIMJIM. Those are also D20 related, so I can use Project Black Flag to protect myself without getting in trouble. So Project Black Flag, SRD out, free, available. You can use it. I've posted the link. Tales from the Valiant. Hey, here's 5th edition without Wizards of the Coast fucking you over in actual physical books for slightly less. So where is it? Because we know it came out. They got their Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and DM's Guide out before Wizards did. We know it's on Drivethrurpg PDF. Where is the physical book? So, I mean, where is it? Has anybody seen it played at conventions? It is being played at conventions. Where is it on the interweb? Can I get it? Well, it's not on Amazon. And it's already on eBay for $103.49. So where can I find this? You can find it on eBay, Borderlandia, Miniature Markets, eBay. So basically, the people who got the Kickstarter are now selling it on eBay. The regular hardback looks like you can get from Miniature Market or directly from Kobold Press. I don't think they intended it to be major mass marketed. I think it's out there. And I think what they're saying is, we did in 2023 what you're still waiting for Wizards of the Coast to do in 2024. We did it as good, if not better, for less money without treating you like shit. So if you want to make 5e stuff, you can. If you want to make stuff for Tales of the Valiant, you can. If you want to make stuff that continues to use a D20 mechanic like I do, and like a lot of the other D20 creators do, you can. Where is it, DM Curt? Well, I found it. It's out there. The PDF is definitely available. If you want the hardback, you could probably order it from the Kobold Press store. You can get it on eBay. If you want the digital version of it, that's available also. So yeah, here you go. You know, it's not going to be on the shelves of Target. It might be on Amazon at some point in time. Best bet, get it from the Tales of the Valiant website if you want a physical copy. I don't think they really expected a lot of people to want the physical copy. I think they definitely pushing the PDF and the POD. But they did the Kickstarter. They sent you the physical if you wanted it. They gave you access to the digital. They gave you access to the SRD. They gave you all the digital stuff. People are making product for Black Flag. There is a adventure path already for Tales from the Valiant. But at the end of the day, they weren't creating a new system. They weren't making GURPS. They weren't making a system. They were providing you with a viable alternative to 5e if you didn't want to give Wizards of the Coast your 5e money. I don't want to play Wizards of the Coast anymore. I don't want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but I love Dungeons and Dragons. Here's Tales of the Valiant. It's the exact same thing with a different name. Oh, well then, yeah, sure, I'll play that. I don't have to learn a new system. No, it's pretty much 99% the same. We had to change a few things because of legal shit, like we can't use the word beholder. But other than that, yeah, it's D&D. If you've played 5th edition as it exists today, you can play Tales from the Valiant without any difference. And this allows us, Kobold Press, to continue to make 5th edition product. And if Wizards of the Coast ever gives us shit, we can say, oh no, this product's being made for Tales of the Valiant, which is okay under your new SRD and under the ORC. Remember? And then Wizards of the Coast can go, curse you! Well, you can't make any new stuff for the new Dungeons and Dragons. And Kobold Press is going, we don't intend to. We've got our license. We've got our Arduin space. People like us way more than they like you. So I think we're okay. Let's see where things are a year from now. You know, when Wizards of the Coast is maybe floundering, if 2024 D&D is a disaster, then Kobold Press can go, hey, remember our game? Yoink. I mean, Pathfinder waited, what, 2 years before we saw it? A year, 2 years before it really started churning out, and 2024 D&D isn't even out yet. Kobold Press is ready to go. They have a bullet in the chamber. All they got to do is see how well Wizards of the Coast succeeds, or more likely fails, and then they can just go, hey, we're over here. We've got the exact same thing for a lot less money. It's already ready. It's already done. You can buy it from us. Continue to play the game you love the way you're used to it and not deal with these idiots in Wizards of the Coast. So there you go, DM Curt. Hopefully that has answered your question. If you want to get a copy for Tales from the Valiant, this is where you can find it. The SRD is absolutely free. I use it for my product. So there you go. Any other questions can probably be addressed to Kobold Press. Link down below. Till next time, I'm the OG GM. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a great day. Get off my land.
Yo, check.